Huh? Hey, I'm tryna win. I'm tryna win in the 716 and I'm making it big. I wanna live. I think I'm ready to.
Yo, what's good, man? It's EC Pinchild Podcast with your one and only host, Glory Boy, here with another special guest in the building. Yes. Okay, we that was too many claps.
It's extra claps.
Okay, all right. So the extra claps for hard work and dedication. All right, thank you so much for being here. And I appreciate you. I can tell you're a very busy woman, and you did take time out of your schedule to be here. So I feel very blessed to have you here. So before we even start this, you guys go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And today is going to be a very important conversation because we're going to talk a lot about nutrition, a lot about nutrition, a lot about your business, how everything started from the get-go. And then we're going to have more and more conversation to cover. But yeah, so beforehand, I just want to say, with my intro, so I did do some notes. I want people to understand exactly why we're here. So we're here with the founder and the CEO of Food Nerd Inc. Her name is Sharon. How do you say your last name? Crying. Okay, Sharon Crying. And your mission with your company, actually, your mission is to redefine what kids eat today, tomorrow, and in the future. You also believe that your product will allow parents to never have to compromise their children's well-being because of a busy schedule and lack of great prepared options. So this is a great actually thing to do. And I want to also read here. You actually highlighted. You also stated that the secret to all of this is basically throughout the miraculous research and development, you had harnessed a groundbreaking method that preserved the natural vitality of fruits, vegetable, and sprout seeds, ensuring that up to 98% of the nutrient remains intact, and also that there are no filler ingredients that cancel out the benefits of the best nutrients, which is actually something that we all want, especially my sister just had a baby. So
congratulations.
And look at you guys having something for the kids. That's really amazing. And also you finished off also basically by saying that your mission is to create a healthy growth and development of the children, and also in pursuit of revolutionizing how food gets made for the next generation. Thank you so much for that, and we're just gonna cover a lot of those things. But beforehand, you can go ahead and introduce yourself to the people. Let them know exactly who you are. Even though I've already said your name for them to get to know you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Sharon Crine, founder and CEO of Food Nerd Inc. Most importantly, I'm a mother. And I'm a really passionate mom because my former life before I became a founder in the startup world, when I was a practicing attorney. And being an attorney gave me a lot of insights into what is broken in our food system. And I did not want my child and my nieces and nephews, and honestly every child in this world, to continue to grow up in a world where 70+% of their diet is ultra-processed foods.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself, though. So let's talk about your background. Where are you from and where were you born and raised?
Yeah, so I'm from Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
I am the youngest of 6, and I was raised by a single disabled mother on welfare. And so a huge part of what made me so passionate was watching her health deteriorate and watching her struggle from as early as I can remember. She was pregnant with me while she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called multiple sclerosis. And that really kind of put me on notice my whole life of what could happen if you don't have your health. And that really scared me, honestly. And I never wanted my children to see me suffer with a chronic disease. So that is, I think what made me become a food nerd.
And just throughout your past, just being a kid, what kind of foods was your mother giving you to take to school in the meantime?
Yeah, so as a single mother, on welfare, doing the best she could to raise her children, we had pretty much mostly ultra-processed foods. So you think of your standard shelf-stable ultra-processed cereals, a ton of canned food, tons of shelf-stable processed foods. So food that is, not healthy for the human being at all. That was pretty much what made up most of our diet. And then whenever we could get, fresh food, my mom would always try her hardest to get, fresh produce, but it was expensive. So we often had, we didn't have fresh food often. And then when we did, it wasn't the freshest food. So going to food pantries and things of that nature are my earliest memories with her. And so I think a huge part of, my passion of why I wanted to make food more accessible and affordable to people, because I think about my mom and the lack of education she had and the lack of access to fresh food.
Right.
And I believe no child should grow up without all the nutrition they need. So I wanted to make sure I prevented that.
And do you think the reason why, because you mentioned growing up throughout like the welfare, because there's a lot of people that's actually dealing with that today. The reason why was just the money was the problem. Why? When you was going to school, eating all the processed food and so on, how were you feeling on a daily basis? Because I know some people may say, "Oh, I used to be tired, feeling tired, and so on." But like based on your own personal experience, how were you feeling eating those type of food?
I think when we're young, our bodies have so much energy. You don't necessarily feel it until, you start to get a little bit older. But looking back, I slept a lot as a child. I really did. I probably slept too much. I think a big part of that was not getting the proper nutrition that I needed.
Right.
But also being in more of a stressful environment that really, those are the kind of two negative implications. If you're not getting good nutrition and you're in a stressful environment, a child is not getting the proper tools they need to develop correctly. So I think for me, I started really not feeling as good as I should when I turned around 10, 11, 12. And then I started kind of noticing everybody else and what they were eating. And people who were eating really well, they looked better, they had more energy, they were more athletic. And that's when I would say when I was 12 to 13 years old is when I really started to change my diet.
Right, and did that affect like your ability to perform well at school as well, or focus in class and so on?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay,
no, absolutely.
wow.
It really did. I think when I started just cutting ultra processed foods out of my diet to my best ability at such a young age, I felt a mental clarity, immediately. And then pretty much from 12, 13 all the way up to 20, I started, really year over year cutting out more processed foods and introducing more nutrient-dense foods. And I literally feel like I went and I became a completely different person. I felt like a superhuman after I actually gave my body what it needed. And that was something that really empowered me.
Right. And also, like throughout like in different homes, in different families, a lot of times like some parents are the ones that's giving their kids like whatever food that they're giving them, and kids love it. Like kids love chips.
Oh yeah.
And they love gummy bears. They like all those type of food. Like, what kind of action did your mother take in order to make sure that you're not eating all those processed food, or did she take any action? So
I think the reality is that she was in such a stressful place in her life that proper nutrition wasn't the forefront of her mind every day, but she also didn't have the education. And you have to realize this was, over 30 years ago when not most people compared to nowadays actually are exposed to nutritional education. And even now, we still don't know what we should know. We should be taught basic fundamentals when it comes to how to be healthy, but we're really not. I mean, if you think about what we learn in middle school and high school and college, proper self-care is honestly something that's so undertaught and so undervalued. So my mom didn't know. And so, we were eating all this ultra-processed foods. And the other thing is we didn't know back then how bad they were for us, like we now know.
Yeah, which is crazy. I feel like everybody kind of like their eyes were open throughout COVID.
Oh, for sure.
Because throughout COVID, that's where I saw a lot of people actually going to the gym. A lot of people worrying about their health, like, oh my gosh, like I have to take care of myself. And then after COVID, you can see it's like a lot of people in the gym, a lot of people actually willing to actually change their diet and eat better food than ever. So now let's get into the story when everything started for you with Food Nerd. So when was the first time you sat down and said, you know what, I'm gonna come up with a company that's gonna help and bring something better to the community in terms of like nutrition, helping kids grow better, brain development, and just everything. Because good nutrition is very much essential, as you know. It's better for like our overall health, energy, growth, weight management, mood, digestive, skin, hair, nails, bones, and stuff like that. So when did you sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna come up with this product?
Yeah, so there wasn't an exact moment. I would say Food Nerds kind of happened by accident in a way. So while I was in law school and I was, studying to become an attorney, I really wanted to make a difference and help people by being a lawyer. So while I was in law school, I had to work full time to put myself through law school. And so I did not have the luxury of not feeling well. I only had a limited amount of time to myself to study. And so I started eating as absolutely clean as possible. And then at that point, I kind of laughed because a lot of people in law school were calling me a food nerd. So that's really kind of where the name happened, is because I was literally carrying like my fresh food with me every day, everywhere I went. And then people started asking me, will you cook my food? Will you make food for me?
So you was a great chef in school.
I was a great chef in school, and I was really good at making healthy food taste good.
Okay.
Because it's really easy to make food taste delicious, right? But to make healthy food taste good, I mean, that's hard. Right. And so like that's what I was really focusing on, is how do I make food that I know is incredible for me, and I don't overcook it, I don't destroy the nutrients, but I make it really palatable and something I want to enjoy. And so that really kind of became a meal prep business. And then it wasn't until after I got out of law school and after I got into practice, then I realized the food I was cooking for people was bringing them so much health. And honestly, it was bringing me so much joy, more joy than being an attorney at that time was. And so that's kind of when I had, I made the decision that I wanted to, pursue Food Nerd full time and try to change as many lives as possible.
So what group of people came to you? Because me personally, I was a student athlete actually at Canisius. So I always wanted to eat healthy, but sometimes you go in the dining hall, they have certain food and you're like, oh my gosh, not today. And then you just go home and make some ramen noodles or something, Yeah. But like what kind of students came to you? Was it like the athletes or just anybody that was on campus just wanted to eat your food?
Yeah, it was mainly people in my law classes that were kind of seeing me eat this food every day and also feeling really good. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you eating? Like, what is that, weird salad that has full of sprouts and all these weird ingredients? And so I think it was curiosity at first, because it looked so different than pizza and, all the Chinese food and the ultra processed, snacks that everybody was eating in the library. Everybody was eating convenient fast food. Right. But I wasn't. And I think that, once people saw the difference in how I felt, they were like, I want to feel healthy too. Like, I want to feel full of energy, because we all want that. We all want to feel like we're our best selves, but it's really hard.
That's true.
It's so hard.
That's true. It's hard because I also, like you say, you're a very busy person. So just being in law school, I know it was the most busiest schedule for you because you have to read books, study, do cases, go here, do internships. So it would be very difficult to basically make the food every day. But like, how did you maintain to manage your time throughout that process as well? Like managing both like school and doing what you like doing.
My side hustle, yeah. So honestly, I was doing it at night and then really early in the morning. So, and I would meal prep, for 3, 4, 5 days at a time. Okay. So that way, it was already like bagged, it was packaged, it was ready to go. So I just had to grab it. And so it was, every 3, 4, 5 days, I would grow the sprouts. I would, shop for all the organic fruits and vegetables, and then I would start to make the meals. And I really had to be really smart with my time.
Yeah, so, you have to, because the moment you close your eyes, you have homework to submit.
Always constant.
That's the crazy thing about school. So, and also just being in school, you ever thought about changing your major? Because I know you went to school to be an attorney, but you ever thought about changing your major? Because when you became very much into your side hustle, did you ever thought about doing something else besides being an attorney?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I still do it to this day. I mean, I love learning. And if I wasn't a single working mom running a company, I would totally be in school right now. I'm just like a nerd to my core. I love it. And I would go back, honestly, for biochemistry. I would want to do, some quantum physics. I would nerd out. There's so many.
Those are some hard stuff.
I had some hard,
you feel me?
I know, but when you realize, like, the more you know, and the more you know about how things work on, like, as many different levels as possible, I feel like the more we can understand human behavior and why we do what we do.
Right.
And so I'm just fascinated by that. So yeah, so totally, whenever I have little moments of time, I'm absolutely nerding out on those topics.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope. So now let's go straight into Food Nerd. So basically, who is your primary customer base, and how do you tailor your products to meet their needs?
So our primary consumer is our children and pregnant moms. So we've created products for the first 1,000 days of life. So the most critical window of development is from the moment a mom becomes pregnant until the baby is about 2-3 years old. And that window, first 1,000 days, is when a child does not receive proper nutrition in that window. It causes irreversible damage for the rest of their lives. And so we really focused on pregnant mom and baby, and making sure that we fill nutritional gaps across every single milestone of development. So for the brand Food Nerd and what we've created as a passionate female-led team of moms is really focusing on the most nutrient-dense, most easy-to-eat and yummy products that we can make for that critical window. And that's where we're really starting.
Wow. And how big is your team?
Yeah, so our team right now, we're a little over 10 people on our team. So
10 people.
10 people. So we're small, but we're mighty. And we are. I'm really proud to be a minority-led, and female-led team. I definitely believe, in a lot of ways that the future of food is definitely female, because we're so close to the problem. We see it so firsthand, and so I'm really proud of my team.
Wow, that's amazing. Shout out to the team. So we're just going to give the team a hand of applause. So because 10 people and you're actually doing what you're doing, that's an amazing thing to see. And also, like, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced so far throughout, like, the food industry? Because I know the food industry is not an easy thing to go about, because you have people that's going to have their own opinions. Oh, this and that. But, like, what are some of those challenges?
Yeah, it's interesting. Something as basic as food is so controversial, and it's always such a debatable topic. So I would say, like, our challenges, even at the stage that we're at now, is really proving that we can make a shelf-stable product that is accessible and affordable, but also insanely nutrient dense. Because right now, shelf-stable products that are on the market are 90+% of them are so ultra processed. But that's all we know how to do. We, as large food manufacturers, we have built the whole food manufacturing infrastructure on high heat and high pressure, which takes, into account killing off potential harmful bacteria, which is great. We need that. We need safe food. But it also does not take into account all of the nutrients that we're destroying. Right. And so, the biggest challenge has been, working on the technology and developing the technology to prove that we can commercially produce at large volumes these products that you do not have to compromise health over shelf stability for.
Right. And you mentioned also throughout your website, you do have a group of scientists, you do have a group of dietary people like that's willing to actually test your foods and making sure that they're very much beneficial for the children, and you said pregnant women as well. And also, how do you stay, because I know it's a lot of things going on right now, as you know, in the media in terms of, like, the food, because people are tired of food that's making people feel bad, feel lazy, that's not helping them grow properly. Like you said in your website as well, your food is out there to help the kids actually with their brain development. So, like, how do you kind of, like, stay current with the food trends and also consumer preferences and even especially regarding health and nutrition?
Yeah, so I would say, we have an incredible scientific, advisory board of really a diverse set of researchers and scientists and physicians and dietitians that are, looking at it from all their unique perspectives, which is really important. So looking at it from a way of how does this impact, how does this particular formula of this combination of food, how does this impact, childhood, recommended nutrients, and then how does this affect their development, and at what time do they need specific nutrients and in what quantity. So pretty much putting our scientific team, putting all their heads together to then try to formulate the most nutrient dense product for that child at that stage. And then I would say, as far as trends go, I would say right now, ironically, is such a hot topic when it comes to ultra processed foods. We're seeing all the cancel Kellogg's, and we're seeing a lot of those type of movements, and parents are really, they're protesting against these large food manufacturers and saying, stop putting artificial dyes and flavors into our children's products. We know we can do better. You literally have proven as a company you can make these products without these harmful ingredients, but they're still continuing to do so. And so I think, being able to listen to consumers, because when it comes to, I always say some of the most, passionate people in the world are moms and dads, and you don't want to make them upset. And so if these companies are making foods that we know are harming our children, parents are not going to stand for that forever. And that's what we're seeing now, which is exciting. I mean, that shows people they're demanding more, and they're fighting for their children's health.
But so I know those companies are making food that's parents and parents are not happy about. But in what ways would parents stand up and actually have that taken care of, in terms of stopping that movement? Because I know it has been going on for a very long time. They have made billions of dollars just selling processed foods and so on. But what action would they have to take in order to prevent that?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is you buy, and everything you buy is a vote, right? So you vote with your dollar. So parents are not purchasing these products anymore. Okay. But then also parents are petitioning, right? So they're I think this was the largest kind of petition ever put forward. It was over 400,000 petitions to date, and I'm sure that number is growing, of consumers petitioning to these large companies to remove these toxic ingredients from our food supply. So there's a lot of ways parents have a say, and I think the first one is not buying the products. And the second one is informing other parents of the potential harm that these ingredients, because we don't know what we don't know. And so there's so many millions of parents that are, giving their children a product that their children love to eat, and they don't know how harmful these ingredients are. And it's not the parents' fault. It's the manufacturer's fault. They should not be allowing this to continue when there's so much substantial research and data that suggests these are not, they're not healthful ingredients. In fact, they're harmful ingredients. And I think the standard when it comes to our children's products is that if it's harmful, it should absolutely not be in the food supply. And it should be by default. We should default that if it's an artificial synthetic ingredient, we do not put it in our children's products. That should be the default, but unfortunately that's not the case.
And how can people tell though? Because I don't think every company do put everything in the food facts in the back, but how would they tell which food is being they're putting artificial things inside, and also which foods are not so good for their kids? How would they tell if those things are not really mentioned on the back of the item?
Yeah, so that's the really tough part, is that there's regulations as far as what's legally required to be put on a package, and then there's all these other nuances and all these other things that do not make it to the label, which parents have no idea. And as an attorney, that's why I was kind of wait a minute, we don't have consent. As parents, how are we agreeing if we don't know, one, what is fully in this product, right? So there's a level of processing, and this is what I think really kind of was the aha moment for me, is that, food manufacturers are allowed to use ingredients in the processing, right? Okay. That do not make it to the nutrition fact label because they're in such small parts per million, right? Or parts per billion, whatever the measurement is. But that does not mean that those ingredients are not in the food, but they're not making it to the package. So we're consuming products every single day that we have no idea that there's hundreds, sometimes thousands of chemicals that we have no idea we're being subjected to. But then the other side of that is we also don't know what the heck they're doing behind the food manufacturing curtain. right? So they're processing food in ways that we are not privy to. Consumers aren't told exactly how these products are made.
But some people are very ignorant though.
Absolutely.
They go to their doctors tell them, okay, I see that you have pre-diabetes. You should stop eating this. But they still go ahead and eat the food, But like, do you also, would you just blame the companies, or you will also blame the people themselves who are taking those actions?
Well, I think there's a few things there, because what I would say is that, when you're used to eating these ultra processed foods and then your doctor tells you, to cut them out, you then try to gravitate towards more natural and organic products, which makes sense. But those products can be just as ultra processed as the non-organic ingredients. And so that's where marketing can be really deceptive, because there's products that can sit on the shelf that may look more healthy or more helpful, but they're not.
Right.
They're not, and there's a lot of products where, because it's organic, but it's still ultra processed flours, oils, sugars, flavorants, natural flavors, right? There's words like that are confusing to consumers.
I'm not gonna lie to you, they confuse me a lot.
They confuse me, and and I've been doing this for almost for over a decade, and now,
right?
And that's where I think the issue is that, when it comes to how we disclose what we're doing to the foods, consumers' health was not the first priority. The manufacturers actually have way more control over our food supply than humans do, which is how we have greed now winning in our food supply.
Right. And speaking of that, what steps do you take, though, to actually keep your company more sustainable to the people?
Yeah, so I get really excited about this because the Food Nerd, we stand for truth and transparency. So we tell parents exactly what's in it, the exact amount of nutrients that are in every single product. We tell them how it was manufactured. And then we tell them every single thing that we test for. For all of our products, we test for over 420 different data points.
Okay.
And more. So we spend so much time, energy, and effort to make sure that we as parents, if we wouldn't give these products to our children, we shouldn't be selling them. And so we're so proud, and we do thorough testing to make sure that when somebody eats a Food Nerd product, they know exactly what they're giving their baby, and they can feel really confident that as parents and as mothers, we have made sure that it is the most nutrient dense and most tested that we could have possibly done.
Right, and you have compared your product with other product like is it Keber? I'm not sure the name of it.
Yeah, some of the main ones that we,
the main ones that the kids have been eating for ages.
Exactly. Yeah. There's some big brands, and we all kind of know what those brands are. And then there's smaller brands that are trying to do better by just organic or a little bit better ingredients.
Right.
But we our goal is to not necessarily say that these brands are not doing the right thing per se, but it's really to say that they're not doing as good as they could. And that's where we're saying, when it comes to our children, just okay or subpar is not good enough. We need to be doing our absolute best, and that's what Food Nerd thrives to do.
That's the future. You want the kids to grow up with good health, so that way they can take care of the rest and do other things throughout their daily basis. But also, let's look at the formulas, because kids have always been taking the formulas for a very long time as well. So comparing Food Nerd with formulas, in what ways would this be more beneficial as well compared to formulas?
As far as infant formulas?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would say they're not a direct comparison. Our particular product that we have out in the market now, which is our Mega Puff.
Okay.
But I would say that from a processing standpoint, I can definitely speak to that. So infant formulas are obviously made to kind of make sure that a child's getting all of the essential nutrients they need to thrive when they're not getting breast milk or they're supplementing with breast milk and formula.
Okay.
And so that really is kind of 0 to 12 months. And so our products, are typically for this particular product line, 12 months plus. But the main difference is the processing. So whether it's an infant formula or a puff or any other baby product on the market, our technology, our nutrient lock cold processing, is really what makes the difference. And that is because we're able to retain all the incredible nutrition that's naturally found in the raw materials. And then we prevent harmful compounds from being formed. So I'm sure you're familiar of carcinogens, acrylamides. Those are the really, and they're also called AGEs.
I gotta do some research, man. I swear to God, she just hit me with some big words.
But that's something that we test for. It's called advanced glycation end products, AGEs for short. But essentially, it's a way to measure how the processing destroyed and denatured the nutrients and created new harmful compounds. And so, honestly, that's where the beautiful match of like the nerdy scientists that we work with that are in the labs testing the product can now bring all of that incredible research to a product that we can actually start to talk about it. So honestly, we do just a tremendous amount of testing to know that, we know exactly what's left in the product and we know what harmful compounds were prevented from being formed. And that's all due to our cold processing methods.
So let's talk about, because you mentioned about the testing and stuff like that, but like, when was the first time you actually had a parent kind of like use your product on their child, and what kind of feedback did they give you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's a really good question because, I was my team members, with our own kids, we were the first to give the products to our kids. Okay. So like we saw that firsthand. But then we did focus groups. And so and this was, years ago before we launched the products, and seeing the parents, they'd send us videos of them giving, whether it was our Mega Melts or our Mega Puffs or our cookies, seeing them give it to their children was honestly one of the best feelings in the world for me. And watching the kids eat that over the ultra processed option.
Oh, so they were just munching them.
Oh, they loved them. And I always like to say, that we deliciously disguise healthy foods because the kids, they love it. They don't need to know that they're eating all this healthy food. They just need to eat it. And parents then, they're sitting there saying, oh my God, they love it. They're eating it. It's like I get rid of my daily parent food guilt and they love it. So it's a win-win. And so for me, it was a win-win-win across the board because I was, it was like Christmas for me. It was feeling like all of those years of hard work was actually helping a child and a parent, which was the best feeling.
What are some of the flavors that you guys have, like in terms of like the foods, some of the best ones that some of the kids love the most, and so.
Yeah, so right now for our Mega Puffs, I would say kids love our blueberry currant Mega Puff because it's blue. It tastes like crunchy, delicious blueberries. And then I would say our second favorite is our pineapple mango because of course who doesn't love pineapple mango? And then this one is actually our red Mega Puff, which is our apple beet, which right now is my son's favorite, and it's full of literally organic raw beets and all these amazing sprouted mega foods. And he'll eat a whole bag while we're in the car, and that's 100% of his daily recommended amount of fruits and vegetables in one bag. So, I like to say, I'm like, I don't care what flavor he's eating today because I know he's getting all of his fruits and vegetables, his minerals, his vitamins, all of his fats, proteins, fibers, carbs. Like he's getting, just all the nutritional gaps filled, and that way I don't have to stress that day.
Nice. And also I wanted to ask you this question because I know a lot of times when parents are feeding their kids different foods, what kind of food did you feed your child before actually looking into feeding them more of like the food nerd and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I was really lucky. My partner and I, we were both I was pregnant with my son while we were developing and launching these products, and her son was 11 months old at the time. So her and I both got to introduce our babies to all of the products. So my son really only knows Food Nerd products, and I'm really blessed to say that. And honestly, it saved me so much time as a busy working mom. And then watching her son, transition from the ultra processed products that were on the market at that time to loving the Food Nerd products. And, now he's over 3.5 years old and he still eats them every day. So, it really has become a daily staple in all of our team members' homes and everybody that, that enjoys and loves the Food Nerd products. We call them our Food Nerd family. Right. They use them every day. And, I say, every single bag that gets eaten by a little one is literally stacking the deck in the favor of proper nutrition for that child. It's changing not only their life for the better, but literally the entire world, which is which is incredible.
That's amazing. And speaking of kids' health, making sure that they're healthy, they're growing at a good pace, just feeling good every day. Let's talk about safety too, because I know sometimes there's foods that you can leave around the kids and they can stuff so much of it into their mouth and then they would choke. So in terms of like choking hazard and so on, let me say you was to leave a bag of food nerds around, is it like health? Is it like safe for the kid to kind of like eat it as much as they can and they would still not be able to choke on that?
Yeah, so I think that's the exciting thing about our technology is that we do have the ability to modify the melting point of our product. So our Mega Puff, for example, is it's really based on the child's individual readiness signs. So we suggest 12 months and older for these products. But we are launching our Mega Melts, which are for babies that are a little bit younger, that don't have as much of the readiness to be able to really gnaw and break down food in their mouth. And that will melt on a baby's tongue in under 5 seconds. And so that's something we're really passionate about, is making sure that, as you're giving these products, you feel really safe as a parent as well. So my little guy, I mean, he was going to town on these when he was, 8-9 months old, and he was loving them. And so I think, every child is at a different place, and that's for the parent and child to kind of determine where they're at. But yes, our goal is absolutely safety, because, to be able to give like raw beets, for example, which is what's in our Red Mega Puff, that's really difficult for a child to eat in that state. Or you'd have to, you'd have to cook it, you'd have to blend it, you'd have to mash it, you'd have to go through all these steps.
Right.
Where this is a really safe way that will melt on their tongue, that they can easily digest. So it's a new form factor, a new way of giving these otherwise potentially dangerous foods to kids at a very young age.
Right. And we spoke about the petitions that were sent and looked over, and also I just want to ask you this, because I know a lot of people are starting to go on to healthy choices now, instead of like eating processed foods and all those foods that really mean nothing to our bodies. How do you have any hope in the future, though, in terms of like people actually seeing the benefit of good food rather than the bad food? And do you think within the United States they're actually working towards that? Because in different parts of the world, people are actually eating better food.
They're way ahead of us,
Yeah, better food and so on. Like in my country itself, they don't sell a lot of American foods there. It's
And you're
food,
healthier for it, I bet.
farm food and stuff like that. So when I came here, that's when I started seeing a lot of different foods. Even McDonald's, I barely saw McDonald's where I'm from. So do you have any hope in the future?
I do. I would say timing is everything, and I think we're at this really pivotal point where we're so educated as consumers, and social media and just our access to the truth, and to new ways of thinking, and really questioning the status quo is higher than ever. And I think naturally we're questioning our food, and we're questioning our food supply. Right. And this is honestly the first time where we have highest rates of chronic disease than we've ever had, and we have earlier chronic disease in children than we've ever had in history, which means we're doing something wrong.
At what age do you think like a lot of children are having those chronic diseases?
I mean, the research is really disheartening, because we're finding onset, pre-diabetes and pre-cardiovascular disease in children as young as preschool. Wow. Which is really horrible. This is something that these are really attributed to lifestyle diseases, and so for us, I think we have not had the proper education and tools to stack the deck in our children's favor. And I have to say that our generation and the generations before us, the last 90 years, we're really all ultra processed food guinea pigs, because these foods came into the food supply in such a fast rate, but no one knew the health implications. And now articles are literally being released every day to actually tell us, hey, we got it wrong. And these ultra processed foods have not only decreased life expectancy, increased chronic disease rates, but they're literally causing a whole slew of all other issues that we really haven't faced before. Right. And that's stacking these multiple chronic diseases in one person at a very young age. And this is something our chief scientific advisor, Dr. Jed Fahey, always says, is that, health span is so important, where ideally when we're eating proper whole foods, right, natural foods that are minimally processed, that are full of nutrition, that we're not really supposed to be developing these chronic diseases. We're supposed to,
Right.
live a healthy, long, sustainable life. And then when it gets to our end of our life, we die of old age. We don't die and suffer in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And our health is just deteriorating so fast. So I am really hopeful for the future that people are going to say, I want high quality health. I want a health span where I can enjoy my life and I don't have to feel victim to a chronic disease
Right.
that robs joy out of my life. And that's, watching my mother, watching her lose her ability to walk and talk and have all of these struggles really broke my heart because, she's not able to play with my son, the way that she would be maybe if she wasn't suffering from that chronic disease. And so, that pain and that sadness that I felt, I know millions and millions of people feel that same thing. And I just want to empower people and let them know that our lifestyle and our diet and the way we treat our bodies is the most powerful tool that we have to prevent chronic disease.
And speaking about like just the group of adults actually who are experiencing those chronic disease, with the recent data, it says that about 42.4% of adults in the U.S. were classified as obese. And a lot of those parents, a lot of those adults too, can also play a part in the kids who are actually experiencing the chronic disease. But looking at the future of your company, though, let's go there. Is what are your plans for the company itself in the future?
Yeah, so our plans are to, we're setting up our first commercial manufacturing facility right here in Buffalo, New York, which I'm so very proud of. And our goal is to turn on our technology to produce large amounts of volume, to be able to put a product out into the market that has a really accessible and affordable price point.
Okay.
And then prove that we can do that. Prove that we can compete with all of these really cheap ultra-processed foods. We can be more shelf-stable and anywhere from 2 to 10 times more nutrient dense. And being able to tell parents that you vote with your dollar. So a product may be 50 cents or $1 more than an ultra processed option, but what are you actually getting at the end of the day? And that's what I want to prove, that this first manufacturing facility that we're putting up can hit, what we wanted to hit, and then grow Food Nerd from there. So, my vision, for a cleaner, healthier world is making sure that Food Nerd manufacturing technology is, strategically placed throughout the world. Where we're sourcing regional, fresh, organic foods and turning that right into a shelf-stable product, and then giving that to the local families in that region. So, I envision Food Nerd as a global company that corrects a lot of the mistakes that the ultra-processed companies have made.
Amazing. So let me say people wanted to order your food from just anywhere in the world. Are they able to? Like, are you guys selling can they go on your website and order anything from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to foodnerdinc.com. That's where you can find our website. Or you can find on our website, you can find our products. Right now, I know we ship to U.S. and Canada, but we do ship globally. So there are options out there that we can absolutely ship to you. And the more we grow, the more countries and the more available our products, can become. And also, over the next, 6 to 12 months, we'll also be available on Amazon and in retail. And our goal is to make this as, accessible as possible.
Right.
So, in the future, I vision, and anywhere you find a bag of Doritos or combos, you should be able to find a bag of Food Nerd as well. So that's my goal.
it. It's always gonna be on the side. But
Exactly.
yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you for being here. I was impressed with all the information that you gave us. I mean, that's what we're looking forward to. We want a better future, especially for the children, for the future generations, and that's what you guys are doing. So shout out to you guys.
Thank you so much. Well, they deserve it, and we all deserve a healthier future where we all have, control over our health. And so thank you for allowing me to be on and talk about my passion.
Absolutely. And actually, sorry, before we finish, what advice would you give to the young women that's pursuing entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for asking that. I'm really passionate about this. I would say that, you don't have to ever settle, and you don't have to compromise. And I know right now, the stats are stacked in against female founders. We get, way less funding and way less support. But I think that is changing, which is good. I'm seeing a lot more, female-focused, investment funds and things of that nature, and people wanting to support women. So I would say,
Right.
If you're a young female entrepreneur or whatever age, you're and where you're at in your life, if you're bringing value to the world, and that's your passion, then don't stop. And there's going to be people that will absolutely become cheerleaders for you and support you along the way. So believe in yourself, because at the end of the day, if you're helping other people, that's what matters most. So don't stop.
Don't stop. Believe in yourself. Hey, guys, this is East Pinchal Podcast, man, with your one and only host, Glory Boy. Y'all go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And go follow Food Nerd Inc. on Instagram. And also go check out the website. Thank you so much once again. And we outside. Let's go.